So about 2 weeks ago, I made a mistake when I uploaded a video talking about My Hero Academia chapter 355. Now, obviously, this video will contain spoilers. So, if you are, let's say, not caught up with My Hero Academia, like if you haven't read chapter 355, and actually the chapter that is about to come out tomorrow, chapter 356, I do not recommend you to continue with this video, because I have read, not looked at leaks, but read the next chapter of My Hero Academia, for instance, that's set to come out officially tomorrow, and I want to talk about the mistake I made with chapter 355, and also some of the things that's happened in chapter 356, and how, even though I made a mistake, it seemed to have happened in the first place. So, let's just dive right into it. What was the mistake I made? Well, as you can see on screen here, you see this. This is the start of chapter 355 that came out 2 weeks ago because there was a break from My Hero Academia. And you can see right here, I want to zoom in on it, that the mistake I made, I said Endeavor lost his arm. And to kind of clarify why I said that in the first place is this page right here from chapter 354. You can see clearly Endeavor here on the bottom, and the way Horikoshi-sensei has the paneling done of this very sequence, it's clear as day. It looks like Endeavor lost his arm from right here, where his shoulder's at, okay? Now, this was from, 354, before 355 came out 2 weeks ago. And when I was talking about leaks, I was talking about 355. So, I still made a mistake regardless if this does look like he lost an arm here. So, I'm not trying to clarify, say, oh, I was right or justified. I'm just saying. But that's the reason why I said he lost his arm. But anyways, so this is from 354. It looks like he lost it. Even from the indication here, like if you zoom in, it does look like his arm was entirely taken by the way, All for One attacks him and the panel structure. So we shift over. Let's back up real quick and go to the next page. I believe we see a page where Endeavor actually falls to the ground. Like he's falling here. And I don't think we have a clear visual of his arm. Like you don't really see it. It looks like it's his left arm right here. And so we don't have a clear visual of where his right arm is from that visual. And I could be looking at this wrong, but forgive me. So anyways, that moves over to chapter 355, this chapter, which is where I made the mistake at. So with the mistake I made, I basically, for some reason, this is not wanting to zoom out. Let me refresh this real quick, if it'll load. Okay, there we go. So anyways, I made a mistake here, basically saying that this chapter, Endeavor lost his arm, but obviously, right at the beginning of the chapter, you could see that Endeavor still has his arm, but you see the wound is right there on his side, where his stomach is. So, clearly, he didn't lose his arm. Okay, so we established that. That was the mistake I made, and I'm 100% sorry. There's no excuse for it. It's a mistake. I did look at leaks. I didn't technically even read the chapter or even, actually see the officials at that point in time when I made the video, but still, I made a mistake. There's no excuse for it. That's how it be. So, I own that mistake. However, now we get into the next thing, which is the newest chapter that is set to officially come out tomorrow, chapter 356. I want to pull this up here, I want to zoom in, etc. And if you look closely at this image real quick, this right here is Endeavor getting up to attack All for One, okay? So, basically, to kind of show you previous context, you see All for One, he reassembles his mask that's broken here, he uses it to grab all the pieces, you have, Hawks becoming a shish kebab a little bit, and then you see Endeavor come in, and he smashes the crap out of All for One's quirk. But if you look very closely, like, if you zoom in on this picture, like, here, I have it pulled up here, and you look very closely, like, look right quick down here on the bottom panel, once again, look very closely, you will see Endeavor's arm, his right arm, detaching from the shoulder blade. Like, look, I have my mouse cursor right on it. Right there, you could literally see the blood splatter as his arm is detaching as he's getting hit by All for One's quirk, and you see his arm flying off right there on the right side of the panel. So even though theoretically, yes, I am wrong with, chapter, this chapter real quick, chapter 354, where, I thought he lost his arm, like, right here, and then you have this one where Endeavor looks like he still has his arm in 355. It seems like Horikoshi did decide to take Endeavor's arm in 356, because you're not going to tell me that arm's not gone. Like, look at it. His arm is legitimately gone. You can literally see the tearing in the blood splattering and the rip effect on his arm right there. However, there is something I want to point out, though. Obviously, this is just him talking with himself in his mind. After that, I'm just going to scroll down briefly, and I want you to see this closely when we get closer. It looks like Endeavor is punching with his stump later on in the chapter. Like, you can see it right here. He's punching with literally a stump. But then, if you look closer, it looks like he still kind of somehow has a fist in this moment. And I don't know what's going on there. Like, I don't know if this is like a visual problem or something, maybe what the chapter is drawn, I don't know, but it looks like he still has a fist, but it's clear, like, once again, I'll go back up here to this very image, his arm is ripping off. You can literally see the thing going through his arm or ripping his arm off, so I don't know what's going on there. I wanted to point that out. But anyways, with that, if there is one thing I do want to talk about, though, if I am going to talk, I think with this chapter, 354, I think Horikoshi did want Endeavor to lose an arm here. Like, I think he legitimately wanted Endeavor to lose an arm. But he decided to backtrack with the beginning of 355 because he's like, he probably thought of an idea. Most likely in his head, he thought of an idea of what he could do with that if Endeavor did lose an arm. And probably have like somewhat of a callback to, let's say, All Might. And that's what this looks like. It looks like a callback to All Might going in for a really good punch against All for One. And that's what it looks like. So maybe that's why. Who knows? I'm not trying to excuse my mistake, but maybe. Yeah, anyways, okay, so let's talk about the chapter, okay? So, chapter 356, that, once again, is set to officially come out tomorrow. It's a good chapter. Like, okay, so I'm gonna be just straight up. It's a good chapter. Legitimately, it is a good chapter. I still, gonna be honest here, I'm not a fan of 355 that, has, like, Jiro, fight All for One, etc., and attack back with their air blast to kind of reflect some things back or whatever. And yes, the Quarks do rebel a bit, but still, I don't like that fact that Jiro's here. My opinion still stands. But 356 is really good. Like, legitimately, it is a really good chapter. It is. And the reason for that, obviously, we get to see Endeavor going in, we get to see some more establishment of his character development. Like, I really love just how he has this eternal conflict within him. You see him talking about all of his failures, etc. It's a really good chapter. It is. And like how he started off with, seeing a parent trying to save their child and they die in a fire. It's interesting that was the origin point of Endeavor and how misled he became from that very point to what he is now. It's a really good origin story for Endeavor in the first place. I like that. It's really good. And I think that the whole thing with All for One as well, him being able to, like, fight him to the end, like, he makes his declaration. I want to, like, zoom down a little bit. You can literally see him, like, say, ending this fight once and for all is my duty. It's a really nice sequence. I really love this. So just shout outs to Endeavor, honestly. And Horikoshi did a good job with this chapter. But looking at this chapter, though, it really does look like Endeavor could potentially die in this fight. I'm not saying he is, but it looks like he could. Because, I mean, with how he's lost an arm, how he's wanting to end this fight once for all, as you can see here, and how far he's pushing himself, it's theoretically possible he could die. I'm not saying will, but who knows? This is theoretically the final arc of My Hero Academia, so anything is possible. We gotta remember that. But, so, yeah, it's a good chapter. It's a legitimately good chapter. I think it's really nice to see, Endeavor have, like, his All Might moment, basically. If Endeavor doesn't die, like, let's just say Endeavor doesn't die, he's definitely retiring. Like, he's 100% retiring after this fight because of just the damages that he's already had to his body. Like, he's going to be permanently damaged. Like, he has a stomach wound now, his arm is gone from what we could assume. Could be wrong with that, depending on how Horikoshi's paneling is, but, basically, the point is that, if he doesn't die, he's retiring. That's what's going to happen to Endeavor. Now, what this does mean, though, I do want to point out, is that if All for One theoretically dies, let's talk about that now. All for One, him dying. Because that's probably a definite. That's going to happen. If All for One dies in this fight, okay, Endeavor brings him out and All for One dies, I'm curious on what's going to happen to Shigaraki. I'm going to assume that maybe Shigaraki will lose full control and, All for One will fully meld with Shigaraki and become completely in control of the body. And if that's the case, I could definitely see that, like, cutting out a lot of, development and chapter, like, progression and development with Izuku talking with Shigaraki, because we know Izuku wants to technically save Shigaraki. That's one of the things he's trying to do. And if All For One takes control of Shigaraki's body, obviously there's not going to be that conversation. That could potentially happen before Izuku arrives to the battlefield. So that is some food for thought. I do want to point that out. But, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, like I said, decent chapter. It's a good chapter. I like this. It's a really good chapter. I like finding out more about Endeavor and all this. It's nice. It makes sense, and yeah. So, tell me your thoughts. And, once again, sorry for my mistake with the arm thing for Chapter 355. I own that mistake. It's not acceptable. I shouldn't technically be forgiven for making mistakes, but I'm just gonna tell you guys I'm sorry, but that's all I can really say. But, anyways, be safe, stay healthy, everyone. Love you all. Chibi out.